All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this month's Lunch and Learn. Today, we're going to be going over data maintenance within ThriVersA. As usual, Jen is going to be walking you guys through some tips and tricks and some best practices on how to use data maintenance in the system. So, Jen, if you would like to go ahead and take it away, I think we can get started.
Thank you, Christina. Like Christina stated, today we're going to be focusing on data maintenance in ThriVersA. I'm going to go over kind of a basic overview to begin with, navigation, some differences in doing data maintenance and the difference with the tables and the grids and why they have so many options. And I'm going to go over how to use the mass product update tool in ThriVersA and coupons. A very brief overview of coupons. We'll be doing a deeper dive into those later this year. And some of the reporting that's available and validity checks that are available in ThriVersA. So let me pull up my ThriVersA. So to start with, I am in the Manage module. Item maintenance does go into most of the modules. So in previous ones, I've gone over this. You can go into Care, Batch, Buy, Sell, Manage. Item maintenance tends to be in all of these, so you can use any of these to go into item maintenance, but the Manage one tends to be the main one that's being used, so I'll just stay in here to focus on it here, but these should be available in any of these modules. So to go into item maintenance, it's going to be under the items drop-down menu, and we're going to go into the master. I have that pulled up right here, and like I stated, I'm going to start with the maintenance part, the navigation part of item maintenance. So right here, I have items, prices, cost, and POS information. What they did with ThriVersA is they broke apart the pieces that we have for the item. So if you're used to looking at this in the older SMS Pro, you have that table format where you have the main item table, the POS table, the cost table, the price table. So the way that they did this is to make it easier, depending on what you're focusing on, you can just go in there and use those fields, those columns now. So if you have somebody who's primarily working on pricing, they can just click on pricing. If somebody is working primarily in cost, they're doing your receiving, they can go into cost, and then POS information you're updating, maybe taxability are changing on some items, so that would be under your POS information. Going into these various tables, and then main item table. Going into these various tables, you can go in, so I'm going to go into items, and you can link the various tables at the bottom. So if I go into the main item table, I can link the POS table, the price table, and the cost table. So that way I can view and or work on all the tables when I'm in this maintenance module. However, there is a little bit of a caveat here. So main one, if I link the POS, the price, and the cost table, I am able to go in and view and edit some of the fields. If I want to edit all of the fields under those various tables, I'm going to go back to start. So if I want to edit all the tables in price, I would want to go into price. So that way everything is available and everything is editable in the price. When I'm in the price, if I check mark POS and cost, I can edit all the different fields, all the different tables in price, but I can view POS and cost. I can't make any changes to those when I'm in here. Same applies to all of them. So if I go into the cost, I can go click on cost. I can show the price information. That doesn't mean I can edit the price information. It just means I can show it. So it's a little bit of a confusing and different aspect that takes a little bit of getting used to because we're used to having all the tables, all the information that we can edit all at once. You do still have that capability to a point if we go under items and we link all the tables right here. It will allow us to edit some of the fields in each of these, but not all of them. So it's just something to kind of be mindful for. And the reason for this is that looking at how people are using item maintenance, you usually do have a price maintenance person and a cost maintenance person. So that helps make it a little bit more easier for them to navigate. I always like to use price as my example when I'm doing this. I'm going to go into my price table. I am going to go ahead and check mark the POS and cost just so you can see how you can view them. And I'm going to leave this open-ended. There is a lot more search criteria available, especially in the item maintenance, so you can really get into details when you are going into the maintenance. So you can type in any code. This will look in UPC code. It will look in vendor code. It will look in alternate code. It's any code. Any description, this will look in any description. Price level, subdepartment category. More criteria you can also do. This is a lot has been added that you can search. Partial item codes, if you only have like the part of a UPC code, you can do a partial item code. Department number, family code, report code, vendor ID, all of that information here. You can see, you can stack all this criteria so you can really drill down into what you're looking for. I can leave it open-ended, so I can go ahead and execute and leave this open-ended. And this will just bring up all the items in the system that have a price table. So looking at this, you can see right here I have my POS information because I did click it and link it, and then over here I have my cost information. So if you're looking at this, so I can edit the description. They did make that available for the POS information. But if I want to go and add any additional POS information, so like the sub-department, the promotion ID, some of the other information not for sale, we'll just pull those up that live in the POS table. If you look, they are not editable. So if you look up there, I don't have the little caret in the corner that makes it not editable because I'm in the pricing. So it's a view only. I'm just going to go ahead and remove those so I don't get too many tables up here to begin with. Then the same goes with the cost. So if I'm moving over to the cost, none of these also, my base cost, I can view it, but I can't make any changes to it. So I can go through, I can add some more information if I would like. There is targets, vendor code, all of that. I can add that, but none of that's going to be editable. The reason being is that if I go into my price, I go into the columns for my price, there's a lot of different fields in the price. So you have level, TGM, rounding, but look at all the regular. You have all those price, quantity, margin, stop, start, package pricing, limited deal pricing, mix and match method. Same thing under TPR, same thing under sales, same thing under in-store. So if you're looking at the pricing and you start adding all of these across the board and you're working on all the pricing and you have it all up here, it can get very large very fast. So you have a lot of columns. All of these are editable. So that's why they sectionalized, to make it easier so that way you're focused on this, you're focused on this. A good tip is if you are in that situation, so you came into pricing and you're like, you know what? That cost is incorrect. And I don't want to have to go back into the cost and change it because there's a lot of steps involved. You always have the ability to pull up the table and you can edit it from there. There's two different ways you can do that. You can go down under edit, you can go under master table, and you can go ahead and pull up your cost master. And now I can edit it just like you're used to in SMS Pro. I can make any changes. So maybe we'll just say like it's $23 now and I can save it. The other ways that you can pull it up is over here under edit views, under the context tools. You can go over here. It's the same idea, master tables, and you can pull up the cost. You can pull up the POS. Maybe you notice it's not flagged for the right taxability, whatever you're noticing, that you can come in and edit it. The grid layout is what they limited because of the amount of columns that you can come in and open. If you do prefer the table layout, that is absolutely still available. You can have this, click on price table, and you can have that same idea with the table layout. You can pin this. You can pin the cost table. You can pin the POS table if you think you're going to be editing a lot right there. And that way, as you're going through, it'll be like a filter over here, and you can just use the table and go through and make your changes on the table. If you are going to be making that kind of change where you're going into the table format and using those more, up here, under your little person up here, your session, you can save your layouts. So if you got a good layout, maybe you want your price, your cost, you're not worried about POS information, you get everything fit onto the screen as you would like, you can come up here and you can save your desktop. So this would be a desktop layout, so you would just want to give it a name, so you could just say this is my price and cost. We'll just say price and cost layout, so that way I know. Oh, sorry, sorry, hitting the wrong button there. And you can save that so that way the next time you go into the item maintenance, you can go ahead and reuse this layout. It'll be right here under the drop-down menu. Whatever you named it, you can name it after your, like yourself, whatever it may be, and it will pull up this layout with everything in there. You just have to redo your filter. This is a good trick to remember when you're doing this. The other part is, I'm just going to go back into items because this seems to happen quite a bit in here. If for some reason you do not click on the tables to join them when you are first executing your filter, just going to execute it right here. This seems to, and you're like, oh, well, I did want to view my price. So if you come down under columns and you click on price, this gets a lot of people a little concerned that it brings it up blank. So if you see that, or you bring up cost and it's all blank, or the POS information is all blank, it just means that you didn't join the tables. So if you go back to the wizard, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't check mark these. I didn't check mark POS, price, and cost. So you just need to go back there and re-execute it. If this is something you frequently want to have pulled up all the time, up here, once you check mark those, and if you have some more criteria you want to save, this little icon up here that says Save Query, it's a little box with a pencil in it. You click on here and you save this configuration. You can give it a name. I name things after myself pretty frequently. So the next time I come in, I can just pick my layout, so that way I remember it. But if it's something you're like, I don't want to ever have to forget that, you can check to save this as the preferred default layout. And you can make it public so everybody is always joining the tables in case they need them. It will, if you're doing a query, the more items that you have, the more joins you have. It could take a few seconds longer when you're building it. But if that's what you prefer, that way you don't see those blanks, you can do that. So you can just go ahead and click OK. The next time I come into my item wizard, those will be checked. It's a default layout now. The only thing is that if you want to do this and you want to go under your price and your cost, you want to have these joins, you have to save it under each one. But if you save them all as your default to join them the one time, then it will save it and you don't have to worry about it. It's set it and forget it. Another question that comes up fairly often with ThriVersA is the mass product update. Is there a way that I can bring up a list of items and mass apply a change? So yes, there is. So if you're coming in, we'll just do a price change. I know I stick with prices a lot. It just seems to be the one that's most common. So if I go in and I want to do a price change, you can pull up all the items that you want to change the price to in the wizard, or you can leave it open-ended. You can apply, and you can choose which ones to apply an update to. So I'm going to leave it open-ended and show you that way, just so you can see both ways. And what you can do is, say you want to change the power juice. I have 3 power juices here, and I want to change the price for all of them. I have a pretty wide variety of prices here. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to edit it in the column. So I'm just going to go ahead and say we're changing it to $5.99. And I save. You can save it by clicking up here. You can save it by hitting enter. Once you've saved a change, you can come over here under the context tool and you have global change. So you're going to go ahead and hit plus, and then it's going to see the changes that you've made in this session. So I just made a change to the price. I want to apply this to multiple items. Over here now, you choose which items you want to apply it to. So you have all these check marks. If you want to do all of them, if you've gotten a really good filter, you can just check mark up here and it will do all the items. A gotcha with this is that you want to make sure you have all the items in your page. I'm only showing 23 by default, so if I want to change all 7,000 items, I want to bring them all up in the browser. If you don't want to do that, so I just want to do my power juices, I can just choose the 3 power juice, and then I click this little magnet icon that says, hovering over it, you can see it says apply global change. And then it says right here what the price was before, what the price is after, what price level do I want to assign it to, and apply to 3 items. Tells you how many items it's going to apply to. You can show the changes. You can create as needed. So if you need to create a record, maybe I want to make a price level 5, and some of those records don't have a price level 5, it will create it as needed. So There's a few options here, but if you want to just leave it very default, it'll show you what you're changing, what price level, and you can make sure that 3 items, and those 3 items is what you want to apply to, and you can apply it to the 3 items. And now you can see right here, it's changed all my prices to $5.99. So it's a very easy tool to use. I know that there is a tool available similar to this. It's the same name in SMS Pro, but it was not as flexible. You would apply to all the items in the browser. You have to type in the word yes, and you have to apply changes only. There was an option that would overwrite the whole price record or whatever record you were working on. So it's a little bit nicer to use because you can see what you're changing, you can choose which items you're changing, and it has the count and it doesn't overwrite all the information. So it's a little bit easier to use and a little bit easier to see what you're changing and how much. The next thing I wanted to go over was coupons. So in ThriVersA, I'm going to go back to my item master. So I'm just going to go all the way back. Let me close that. So coupons, this is, like I said, this is going to be a general overview for the coupons because there's a lot with coupons, but the way that coupons are set up in ThriVersA makes it, in my mind, a lot easier to use. So over here, you can just search. So if I click on coupons, this would be like a search. I can look for any coupons. In the system, I can look by offer code, description, subdepartment, so I can just see items. I'm just going to execute it. So this is a really nice feature, so that way it was a little difficult before to be able to pull up all the different coupons you may have currently in your system. This will just pull them all up, that you can now see how many coupons you may have active in your system, and you can go through them. Going back over here, all, we'll just not do the search criteria we just saw. It'll just pull up all the coupons, anything that's flagged as a coupon in your system. What I did like that they've added is new. So if you want to add a new item, a new coupon, before we had to create a new item and then we had to get the coupon table and do all of that. So kind of skips a few steps, and you are still going to create a new item, but it just does it kind of all in one. So if you click on new, it's going to create a new coupon. It brings up one table, very easy to look at, to use. You can choose what kind of coupon it is, so you can do cents off, cents per weight, % off, buy X, get Y free, buy one, get one free, bundle price, no discount, so it's like an informational coupon. So you're just going to be setting your value type. I'm just going to use cents off. Your discount, I want to do $1 off. It says cents off, but dollars work. By default, it is going to make it an electronic coupon, so it means it will, once the criteria is met, it will come off automatically at subtotal. If you want to make it a manual coupon, you can change that. Printed coupon, targeted coupon if you have the targeted coupon module. Automatic coupon means it comes off immediately. It's a like electronic but no subtotal. It'll come off immediately. And then a public coupon. So you have those options. You still have to assign a subdepartment. So you have to say what sales this is going to affect. So your subdepartment. So you just got to pick one. It's in red, so that means you have to fill it in. A nice feature that you can use now is it will generate a code automatically. You don't have to create a code on your own that's not in use for coupons. It will generate one if you would like. You can type in here, but you don't have to. It will generate the next available number. You can disable it, so that way while you're working on it, you don't want it to accidentally trigger, and you need to give it a POS description. I'm just going to say test coupon, $1 off. Down here, if you're familiar with this, there's the coupon link. So now you're going to say what criteria needs to be met in order for this coupon to come off. So right now I have no criteria, so I'm going to want to click on add criteria, and then I'm going to go ahead through and just add my criteria. So maybe you have to have a specific item. You have to have a specific amount of subdepartment sales, a promo ID sales. You have to have a specific shopper level if you have a frequent shopper level program. All of you want it to come off random with X transaction. You want it to come off every 10 transactions, and total sales. Maybe they have to spend $50 to get the $1 off. I'm just going to do total sales. It's going to automatically populate my totalizer of 3. My minimum measure, so I want to do a dollar amount. That's my minimum measure. It's not a quantity, a dollar amount. So I'm just going to say a dollar amount for $50. And then is there any other special criteria, special things we need to add to the criteria. So multiplication, do we want to have this come off more than once? So you can multiply it. Is it going to be a percentage off? Do we want to accumulate? These are all the same criteria that we had before. They've just been ported over. Just a little bit easier to understand before you have to double click on it and have the letter. But so maybe you don't want to have any multiplication. You want to limit this one. So we'll just leave that alone. Make sure the discount affects the items in these criteria. So if you have that dollar off, you want it to affect the $50, you can have that. This item in this condition can only participate in one offer, so it's a limited participation. They only get the dollar off. They can't get anything else. So you can add that in there. And the nice thing is that as you're doing this, down here, it's going to give that final description, match limited. It'll add that to the criteria. So when I click on OK, it'll add that to my criteria. And then you can add additional criteria. So maybe you have to have a item sale, a specific item you need to have sold. This will actually do a search for the items in my system. You can also just type in the code. I'll just go ahead and click on that needs that UPC sold in here, and it needs a quantity of 1, just so you have a little bit different. And you can see down here I'm getting a final description once you have purchased one item of item number and with the UPC number. So that way, as you're building the coupon, you actually get that built up down here so you can visually see what the coupon needs to meet. You go into details. Is it a store coupon or vendor coupon? Is there a specific date that this runs through? So you can say it's a regular or sale. Start date and end date. If there's any restrictors on here, if it's a point coupon that gives you points or takes away points, you can set that up in here. And then any additional descriptions. Once you are happy with this, like you can do the main item description, like the test coupon, all of that you had before. Once you're done, you can just go up here and click on Save. And it's now going to be a coupon that if I go into my coupons, it'll show up in there. It just is a nice, kind of more compact way when you're building your coupons. I just wanted to highlight. The other thing that they've added is a coupon matching report. So if you want to see what coupons have been redeemed each day, it's a little bit easier to go in there and do that. So if I click on my coupon matching report, it's a report. So you can pick your period. If you've been on other of these lunch and learns, you know that you can always pick your period, day, week, month, year, month by week, month by day. All that criteria is still in here. You can look at one specific offer code, so one specific coupon code and or descriptor. If you want to do a certain target, you can do that. You can look by date, by store, by offer code. So if you're in a multi-store environment and you wanted to look at it broken down by store, if you're running any of those periods by date. And if you want to see each offer code split out separately, you can go down and do that. I'm going to go ahead and execute. And I had one coupon today that came off, so I can see the item code that it came off on, the coupon code, the store that it did it under, the amount that was discounted, the total before the discount. It was 100% off. So you can easily track the coupons that are being used now. So it's a nice additional report that's been added in with the coupon matching. The last thing I wanted to go over with item maintenance is the item validity checks and ease of auditing. So a frequent question that we get is we want to see prices that have changed. We want to get like a date range of prices that have changed. It was available in Pro. It was a journal report you had to run. So now they've split that out. So it's a little bit easier to look at and to read. So there is a price changes. So if you're wanting to see what's changed. So I go into my price changes. You can pick a start date and end date. If you have a specific item code, vendor code, you can type in your any code, any descriptor, vendor, subdepartment, category, whatever criteria you want to look at. I'm just going to leave this. It looks like it's set for 9 days. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that, but you can certainly narrow or widen that and execute just so you can see what this looks like. Because I believe I have a few price changes that have happened in that time period. So I definitely have. So what it does right here is it's going to say what the item code was, the last time it was touched. So this is a little confusing to look at, but not really. So you're always going to have like 2 lines. So focusing on this, you can see The last time it was changed was 220 before the previous, this is the previous change. It was $1, the margin, and then my unit cost was $2. So then on the 24th, I made a cost change, right? So my price was still $1, but you can see here I went from a unit cost of $2 to $1.91. So you can see when it was changed, you get an exact date and time of when it was changed, and you can see what it was previously before that. And you can see as you go down, like here's another one, my pastry, right here. So it was $1.31. My previous change was, so it was 79 cents. And then right here on the 24th, the price was changed to 78 cents. I changed it by a penny. You can, just like with all the reports up here, if there's any columns that you don't need to have up here, it's too much information, you want to move anything, you can easily edit all of those. You can add and subtract, so maybe you want to see the brand. You can add the brand in here, whatever columns you would like to add and subtract, and up here you have that ability to save those. So it's a nice feature that was added on. Let me just scooch this over. They also have any general changes, so this isn't as tied to like your price changes and or cost changes. So if you go into your general changes, this will let you audit any changes. So maybe somebody changed the taxability on an item. Maybe somebody changed pricing, any of the regular TPR, you can look at just narrowing into those. A coupon change was made, any cost changes that were made. It just gives you the same ideas that we just looked at with the price changes. It's just with all the tables now. And you can come in here and you can pick and choose which tables you would like to look at. There is also the validity check and the audit changes. So the validity check was something that was brought over again. I believe it's a little bit easier to go through in ThriVersA. So looking at this, they split it up so that you have sellability validators and qualities. So this means if you're missing any of this information, the item likely won't sell or isn't going to sell correctly. So you want to make sure that the information that is in there is valid. Over here is quality. So this means the items will sell. This won't stop the items from selling, but it's just a quality check on the items. Like right here, we'll just pick out a few, for example, missing cost records. You don't need a cost record to sell an item. You need it to receive an item, but not to sell an item. A bad or missing category. Somebody put a bad category number in an item. It won't stop it from selling, but if you want to track that reportability with the category, you might want to check on that. No vendor code. No authorized cost record. You have more than one cost record. One's not authorized. Not things that will stop you from selling the item, but something's wrong with that item that you might want to go in and check because it's the quality of the item may not be complete. Where the sellability, you're missing the main item record, the POS record, or the price record, the item won't sell. You have a bad subdepartment. This will stop the item from selling. So you can go through and you can pick and choose which ones you would like to look at. You can also just do sellability or you can just do quality if you just want to do that. And then up here, you have the ability to limit your criteria. You can look at any code, any descriptors, one department at a time, categories, vendors. You can select multiple items, so maybe you're just wanting to check a subset of a group of items. There's always more criteria, so if you want to do like a partial item code or a range of item codes, descriptor, anything like that, you can go through and this will all stack. This criteria all stack with each other. And then just so you can get a little bit of a view on what this may look like once you run it, I'll just do the sellability. And you can just go through and you can see, oh, this item right here is missing a subdepartment, missing a main item. This item right here, I have a conflict between the alternate code and the main item code. I have an alternate code and a main item code, the same one. So it's an easy way to go through and see what's going on. 124, I'm missing main items. You can tell this is a lab. But this is a good way, that way you can go in there and you can check and you can edit. So if I want to edit this, you can go in, you can edit that item and you can fix it. So it's a nice feature that's been added on. The last one is, like I said, the audit changes. So it's similar to the idea where if you're wanting to look at the price changes and the item changes. This is just going to be an audit of any changes that were done on the main item, POS, location, classification, coupons, images, price, and cost. You can audit the changes that have been done. That was what I wanted to go over. Did any questions come in, Christina?
Nope, we didn't get any questions that came in. Does anybody have anything they want to put in the chat now? Is an ending for it? I don't see anything coming in. All right, so I think we are good for today then. So thank you guys for joining. Next month, we will be doing some loyalty, previously known as eCare, now with ThriVersA. We'll be going over some best practices for loyalty and how you guys can integrate with that. If anybody does have any follow-up questions or starts going through their data maintenance and runs into some problems, feel free to use that QR code that goes to our Contact Us page. Fill that out, and then we can have our help desk reach out and give you a hand. All right. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Yep. See you guys next month.